It was a gloomy start to the day at Sydney, but in the end, it was all sunshine for Australia. Hello and welcome to TV9 News. I'm your host and host, Abhijit Singh Bhamre, and alongside me, I have my friend Apiece Jain. Now, at stumps on day one, Australia has scored 166 runs for the loss of 2 wickets. Mind you, it was a rain-interrupted day and only 56 overs could have been bowled. India managed to pick up 2 wickets, but it was Australia who scored 166 runs in the end. And Atisha, my friend, it looks like at the end of day one, it's advantage Australia, isn't it?
Well, absolutely right, Abhijit. After the end of the first day's game, we can clearly say that Australia will be the happier side heading into the dugout. Apparently, it was a change in momentum. Australia were able to score runs, and even though what was surprising for me, Abhijit, was it was an overcast day, but the Indian bowlers were not able to utilize the punches out of the wicket, and as a result, Australian batsmen were able to score runs freely, beg your pardon, and now they will be the happier side.
Let's just break it down into all the 3 sessions of the rain-interrupted day. The first session was interrupted badly by rain and only 6 overs could be bowled. And in that, Australia lost the key wicket of David Warner, something which they will be proud of. The first wicket went to Mohammad Siraj, and you could just see outside the off-stump flashing to a ball which he should have left. But then the rain interrupted the game for close to 1.5–2 hours, and when the game again resumed, it was all Australia because of one man, the debutant, Pucovski. He not only scored his maiden half-century in his first innings, but also ensured that Australia has a good batsman at the top of the order. Too early to say whether he is the solution, but how do you reckon his innings and what are your thoughts on him?
Well, Abhijit, if I am not wrong, Pucovski was in the line to make his debut from the start of the series, from the Adelaide Test, but due to concussion, he had to miss the first 2 games. But today, he showed why he is rated so highly in Australian cricket. He was able to score runs. Not just he scored runs, Abhijit, but the manner in which he scored runs. He didn't let the bowlers dictate the terms to him. He was able to rotate strikes. He was able to score boundaries, and as a result, he ended up scoring a maiden 50 on his debut, 57 runs to be precise.
Yes. Pucovski scored 62 runs of just 110 deliveries with 4 boundaries. It wasn't about the boundaries he scored, Atisha, but was also about applying himself, just be there at the crease and deny India of those early breakthroughs, which has been the story for India in the series so far, but that was not to be. And it took a debutant again, this time from India's side, Navdeep Saini, to remove the Australian debutant on 62, but not before both Pucovski and Marnus Labuschagne staged 100-run partnership for the second wicket. A big moment there for Navdeep Saini, isn't it?
Well, absolutely right, Abhijit. On debut, and he also got a well-settled batsman. India were looking for a wicket, otherwise the game could have been gone away from their reaches. But yes, I won't say Navdeep Saini was up to the mark, but you have to give it to the new guy. It's his first match, and he got the wicket.
Not a bad wicket to take as your first wicket, absolutely. But then, what transpired next was what Australia was missing in the last 2 test matches. The rotation of the strike and 2 of their key batsmen, Marnus, Labuschagne and Steve Smith. That brings a smile on Atisha Jain's face. Steve Smith is, I wouldn't say back to form, but he looked positive. We'll talk about Smith in a bit, but let's focus on Marnus Labuschagne. First, his partnership with Pucovski, and then when Pucovski got out, he took the mantle and made sure that Steve Smith was happy and safe at the crease. Your thoughts on his innings?
Well, absolutely right, Abhijit. Marnus Labuschagne too, along with Pucovski, played a brilliant knock on the first day. And not just to give a backdrop, he has been scoring runs, but it was the conversion of his innings which was missing. The big runs. But this time he looked solid. He was able to rotate strike, and he was also taking on the short balls, Abhijit, which he struggled against in the previous 2 games. So the intent, Abhijit, which was missing from the Aussie batsmen in the last couple of games, today they were being back to being the old Aussie.
They were looking for boundaries. They looked more positive. They were rotating the strike, never allowed the Indian bowlers to settle into a rhythm. And Marnus Labuschagne ended the day with 67 unbeaten of 149 deliveries, 8 boundaries and a strike rate of close to 45. But then we have to talk about Steve Smith as well. A lot of pressure on Steve Smith, and before this innings he couldn't even smash a single boundary in the last 2 test matches, but today he looked extremely positive.
Well, once again, the intent factor was there, Abhijit. He was, as soon as he came to the wicket, he had hit 5 boundaries, if I am not wrong.
Yes.
And he was ready to take on Ashwin, he was ready to take on Bumrah. He would have said to himself, enough is enough. I am the best batsman in Test cricket right now. I need to go out there and dictate the terms rather than someone like Ashwin or Jasprit Bumrah coming and dominating the proceedings. And today, we saw that he was eager to rotate the strikes and he also got that crucial boundaries just to get the monkey off his back.
He looked more positive, and that was all what the Australia was looking for. But a quick word on the Indian bowling. Do you think the wicket had no help at all, or was it, or what different could the Indian bowlers and spinners have done on day one, Atishay?
Well, Abhijit, surprisingly, it was an overcast day, but there was not much of a purchase for Indian seamers and even spinners for that matter. Ravi Ashwin couldn't get that same turn which he used to get in Adelaide or Melbourne. So I would say they bowled pretty well. They could have bowled better, but yeah, there was that purchase was not there, which one you can expect on an overcast day.
In order to take a wicket, Atishay, you got to hold on to your catches, and by any stretch of imagination, Rishabh Pant's 2 drops were just inexplicable, weren't they?
Well, absolutely right, Abhijit. He dropped Will Pucovski first when he was batting on 28. Then again he dropped Will Pucovski, the same batsman, when he was batting on 32. And then Pucovski went on to smash his maiden half century. In total, he scored 62 runs. So those runs are also going to cost India. But yeah, once again, India's fielding let them down on the first day. Just it had happened in Adelaide.
Overall, it was a day of if and buts, if I can put it in that way, because firstly, there was a lot of rain and not much game was expected, but then Australia was dented early on, but then that partnership between Will Pucovski and Marnus Labuschagne, and later now 2 more set batsmen are out there, and that will exactly hurt India right now. So what could be the game plan going into day 2? It's very simple. Get those early wickets and ensure that Australia is bundled out cheaply, because once they get close to 400, India will be only chasing in Sydney in order to win this match and take 2-1 lead. But that, at this point of time, looks a big task in front of Team India. How do you analyze Team India's first day in Sydney in the New Year's Test match? Was there anything different that the team could have done on the opening day of the Test match? Do send in your comments and feedback in the section given below. In the meantime, do not forget to subscribe to TV9 News across all social media platforms.